Hey Blade fans, welcome back to a special collection review which I'm calling Small But Effective, and these are small designs all by the noted designer Dirk Pinkerton. Dirk's background is in military and law enforcement training. He's done a lot of time doing that. He's been involved himself in the self-protection business and is a fantastic custom knife maker as well as knife designer for numerous companies such as Concept, Kaiser, Beyond EDC, and Artisan, all represented here today. He trends towards smaller knives in the marketplace because I'm going to jump to the assumption that he feels the knife you have with you is the knife you're going to use. And if you're not prone to carrying something large and heavy, you're not going to have it with you. You're going to have these smaller knives with you that can double as EDC knives. So we're going to take a look at them today, and we're going to start with a very popular one. This is the Concept Main Street. And this was popular from the moment it came out. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. It is a Wharncliffe, straight up Wharncliffe style blade with a straight edge. These initial ones were made from 154 cm. One I happened to get was in carbon fiber, kind of a laminate, I believe. Not the best choice, but they came out with some very nice handles since then. So if you want micarta, if you want G10, they are out there now. This knife is not really as small as the rest of them that you'll see on this table. This is the giant amongst them at 3.4 inches thereabouts. It is an effective Wharncliffe for utility, has a very nice neutral handle, and is a liner lock with substantial enough lockup. Not a drop shut knife. I believe she's running on bearings, but if it's washers and you know better, let me know. Nice titanium clip. And these aren't all that expensive. I would venture to say they're still coming in under $100. There will be links to all of these on the video, and also individual reviews on each of these knives, as I usually do. If I'm showing you a collection, it's likely that I've already individually reviewed the knives. It's got his trademark side jimping here, which doesn't really provide a lot of traction in this case, but you have a large thumb platform. Knife can be used in either point up or point down position, although we've got a little bit of protrusion there that's going to run into your knuckle. And yeah, you could use it edge in without too much trouble. It's a double thumb stud knife as opposed to a flipper. And yes, you can middle finger flick it out, although that's not my preference. I like having that thumb on that thumb stud. That's why they call them thumb studs, at least originally, right? It's a wide open construction with barrel spacers. Hence, it is a very light knife. It is weight relieved and very easily pocketable. Can be used, as I say, for EDC chores, but Wharncliffe blades in general can be very effective tactical or self-defense tools in a pinch. Now next up, let's go to the Urban Bowie. This is the tiniest amongst these knives. And the Urban Bowie is a Kaiser design. I have to look to make sure it's Artisan, not Kaiser, Kaiser, not Artisan. Recently came out. It's a 3-finger knife with, now this jimping seems to be working better. It's a little rougher, but it won't cut your thumb. But You can solidly get 3 fingers on there. You can solidly get 4 fingers on there in the point down grip, and it's nicely lined up should you choose to use it that way. It is a liner lock with about 25% lockup. You can use the middle finger to flick it, like I'm trying, or you can use the thumb to flick it. Detent's a little tight on this particular copy. If you have one, yours may not be that tight. They will break in over time. This hasn't seen a lot of pocket carry. We do have flat-headed screws. We have an inletted clip, switchable to the left side. And this is about a 2.3-inch blade. So yeah, it's small, but it's effective. Can be used with the finger on top for cutting strokes. Can be palmed for thrusts. And with that belly on there, it's got a lot of utility purpose, although you'd have to tip it way up to get to the point. That's the only deal with this one. They made this one also in 154 cm, as the Main Street is. And that guy is nothing to hide in the hand. And therefore, it's going to always potentially be with you. You could even shirt pocket carry that guy. Deep carry clip. Moving on to the Ruffian. And the Ruffian is a CJRB design, which is an artisan company. And interestingly angled up Warncliffe on this one. Whereas on the Main Street, you have, see if I can demonstrate this without cutting myself. You can see how the edge and point angle up on the Ruffian, whereas they're in a straight line out from the bottom of the handle on the Main Street. And I keep wanting to say Street Beat, but it's Main Street. Very light knife on the Ruffian, and look at all this jimping. It gives you some traction, and you've got lots of real estate to place the thumb. It is actually a 4-finger knife, and it feels very comfortable in the point down position. And look at that point line up. And that is an elongated point. That's not an abrupt point. So this can be very piercing, very much like a Yojimbo. Not entirely different at all, like a much lighter weight, smaller Yojimbo. Once again, we have disappearing clip and screws, which is perfect. And we have a wide open construction with barrel spacers. It does have hidden liners, nested liners that are weight relieved. Very nice fidgety little knife. No problems if you want to simply not scare anybody and roll it out. I almost prefer it to the Main Street. I really like this design. So there's Dirk kind of evolving perhaps the Main Street design. Moving on to, well, let's move on to, I was missing it on my list, the Arroyo. And the Arroyo is an artisan cutlery design. Interesting because it's coming in at a price point, I think, around CJRB level, but it has got the artisan branding on it. And this one is, I believe, from Artisan's proprietary steel, yeah, AR RPM 9. Very slender in the hand, again wide open construction, and again weight relieved, and again deep carry clip that's inletted. So it's sounding like Dirk is really designing these to be to those specifications. Got some nice jimping that's aggressive but doesn't bite on the pommel area for the last 2 or 3 fingers. It is a full 4-finger knife with just a little left over. Switchable clip, as I said, deep carry. Notice so many of the characteristics being the same with this. And this, again, is a trailing point blade. He's calling this the Urban Bowie. And they both are sort of a trailing point blade, you might say, but this is a lot shorter and stubbier. Kind of an underrated knife, perhaps. The Arroyo has been popular, however. Nice action on it, on bearings, and a nice lockup with that liner. I'd say that's coming in around 50%. Easy to open and close. Flipper tab on this one rather than thumb studs. So far we've got thumb studs, we've got an opening hole, and we've got flipper tabs, depending upon which one of these you choose. What's interesting with the Urban Bowie is he went no flipper tab and hole opening alone, and the same thing on the Ruffian. Well, last but not least, we have a very interesting design by a very interesting company that Dirk designs for now and then, and this is Beyond EDC. Now this is a VG10 blade. Somebody recently wrote me that this, he crossed this one off his list because he's not sure how effective it would be for self-defense because there's no real positive way to open it. So I grabbed the knife the other day, picked it up and said, can finger flick it, can thumb flick it, can thumb roll it. Look at the size of that fuller. Look at the length of it. And they thought to give us a very defined, sharper edge on that fuller so that you can definitely make contact with the finger. So many of these fuller opening designs don't have an adequate fuller that grabs the finger. Now this is a claw. This is the garra. This is a claw style blade. Garra means claw in Spanish, like an animal's talon. And again, what he did with this one, and he mentions this, is that he raises the point and angles the blade upward. Very similar to what he did with the Ruffian. You may or may not be able to see that happening, but if we even up the handle so the axis is straight, we can see that this tips up to the extent where the point is on line pretty much with the central axis of the handle, just slightly below it. So although it's a claw, you can thrust with this by just raising it slightly. This can also be a piercing thrusting knife. There is your point right there. Slight raise, thrust in, and you've got a point. But it's also capable of tremendous power in gashing like an animal's claw. Jimping all the way around again, and it's grabby. Goes right through the backspacer and the handle slabs. Interestingly, this one has a slotted screw on both sides as opposed to a Torx. And I think I mentioned it's VG10. Not a bad steel. Many other companies have used VG10, including Spyderco, over the years. But that is the Garra by Beyond EDC. Here we have the Ruffian. Here we have the Urban Bowie. Here we have the Main Street. And here we have the, I'm always going to forget that one, Arroyo. Arroyo. Okay, so there you have it. Small knives that can be highly effective and are highly portable, designed by Dirk Pinkerton for artisans, CJRB, Kaiser, Beyond EDC, and Concept. How about that? Now Dirk does make bigger knives, and he makes some big fixed blade knives, custom ones, So don't get the idea that all he makes is small knives, but he's got the right idea in mind. And Dirk, if you're listening, fantastic job. Great creativity here. And these are all useful little guys. Okay, y'all be well. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe.